get something to eat, and watch this movie. Don't let the kiddies see it, because, well, we'll let you hear the beginning first. Thank you.
Anyway, welcome to Tune in Life with
Mallory.
and Rina.
Woohoo.
Yay!
Trying not to keep my hands in the frame now.
I know.
Flashback.
Let's try that again. Oh my god.
What?
What did you do? What did
I
you...
don't know. Was it this?
End of flashback.
That's so funny.
So
So,
how's the post-winter break music teacher vibes for you?
honestly, I'm so tired.
Oh my god.
I feel like January is like the longest month of the year and also like the most exhausting month of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know why that is, but it feels like it's like January 52nd. And also, it feels like I've been working for like 24 hours a day. I'm so tired. But other than that, it's going pretty well. Very
Good.
jealous of everybody else who has had a break because of the snow. That was not me.
Yeah, so
Oh.
I'm in school, right?
Mhm.
They just sent a notification that we're back on campus tomorrow. And I
Hmm.
said, "What the heck?" Because it's gonna be in the negatives, right? Or like at least below freezing.
Well, I mean, none of the like original snow has melted at all, right? Because it hasn't gone above freezing for us, so I'm sure it hasn't for you either.
So
Interesting.
I have to go teach and suffer in the cold.
Yeah, be careful, I guess. Wear some like good shoes. I'd be slipping and sliding around that campus.
Yeah, I might show up in my blanket hoodie like you because it's so cold.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I know this isn't the most professional look of all time, but it is very cold. And I'm very cold all the time. So this is just what you're getting today. I'm in the
Yes,
comfort of my own home.
yes.
I'm gonna wear what I want. Okay? Okay.
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 All right. Well, today we're talking about how to network from a perspective of a young educator like us. So, any thoughts on that, Mallory?
I think this is more important than you might think it is. Just because I feel like in our field, like a lot of it's about like, well, you've got to do check off all these boxes to be a marketable person and blah blah blah. But honestly, I think a lot of it that we don't give ourselves credit for is the people you know. Because especially like in the music or education world in general, people know each other and it's a smaller world than you think it is. So I would say that networking was really important when I was searching for jobs. Had a lot of people sending me like, "Hey, saw this opening, thought you'd be good for it." And that kind of thing. And also, it helps you build your references that you can put on your resume. And I can't stress the importance of that. So if you're somebody that's on the education journey, you're learning to be a teacher of any kind, music or not, you've really got to start building some references and some people you can count on to sing your praises. Because I think that helps me out a ton when I was looking for jobs.
Yeah, and I've been told, especially like someone who's seen you be in the classroom is is always a good reference.
For
Like
sure, yeah.
like
My references were my two cooperating teachers when I was a student teacher. Both of them were amazing, and I really made sure to build some strong connections with them just because I knew that like they're really going to be able to tell these potential future employers like how I am in the classroom and what are my strengths and those kinds of things.
they're very influential, these corresponding teachers. I mean, I was talking to my the first one that I had fortunate of observing last semester, and he's a big guy in the state. He's
Yeah,
very well
actually, I
known.
think we share that one, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a big name, so like I'm glad that I got on his good side and he sees the potential in me and he was willing to be a reference of mine, so I'm very fortunate to have that.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, if you're entering student teaching, or if you're just doing your clinical hours, because you still, at least at the college I went to, you still had to teach like a couple of lessons in the classroom, to get your while you were getting your observation hours and things like that. But you want those people to like watch you teach. So anytime that you can get up on the podium or up in the class and speaking to them, teaching a part of a lesson, and all that stuff's going to be really helpful for your references to see how you are as a teacher and as a professional.
And have that resume ready. You never know. If you don't have it ready, then you're not gonna get that job, right?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on my resume. Like I think I started working on it maybe in like January, February of my last semester.
Mm.
Or actually, it might have been earlier than that. I think we had an assignment where we were supposed to make a resume maybe earlier in the year, maybe even the year before. But I had been working on it for a long time because I just wanted it to be exactly what it needed to be. But resumes are honestly kind of hard because I feel like some people are like, you need to put everything in there. Some people are like, only put the things that apply to your situation in there. So there's lots of like advice and people around to kind of tell you different things. But honestly, I would just trust like your professors and your cooperating teachers and people you work with to kind of tell you what's appropriate to put in your resume. I think I kind of look out because my mom is a English degree holder. So
Cool.
I think she looked at it maybe once or twice. I might be making that up, honestly, but I'm pretty sure I got her advice on some of it as well. So just use the people around you and use the people that specifically have experience like doing the resume stuff. Like I remember I asked like my cooperating teacher so many questions about applying for jobs. Is the situation appropriate? Can I put this on my resume? Like when I say build those connections, like build those connections, utilize that time that you have with them because it goes by faster than you think. 8 weeks flies by. I think that's about the amount of time I had at each placement. So utilize that time wisely.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, if you want to get like brownie points, just being within those current educators, just helping out with like honor band or all district auditions. I mean, I just recruited by the same guy as the cooperating teacher to be like, hey, do you want to help out with all district band? And I was like, I'm happy to do that. And it's just helping them, assisting them. That's just going to create more brownie points, and they're going to think, oh yeah, this person's super reliable, they're willing to help, I'm happy to do this. So gotta be a team player, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I am also assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a music education person of some capacity, or you're a family or a friend, and that's cool too. But especially like if you fall in that camp, I know that honors bands are coming up, and those take a lot of work, so I'm sure they will use volunteers for that. It's a really great way to meet people in the field that you want to work with and get your name out there. Because you want as many people as possible to know who you are and have a positive experience with you. I know that, like, well, if you're me, I'm very introverted, surprisingly. And so sometimes putting yourself out there and being social is like really scary. And I get it. It can be scary, especially when it feels like there's so much writing on that interaction, but you got to just try your best to say hi to somebody, tell an interesting joke, an interesting fact about yourself. I'm just kidding. Make it organic, but yeah, anything you can do to just build up those positive relationships with other people is just, it's going to help you in ways that you have no idea.
Yeah. And I'm in that boat right now, but like nobody knows me, right? Nobody knows me except like a handful of people. And so it's very intimidating walking into this space and they're like, who's this person? Like, what are they doing? Why are they the snare drum auditioner? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm here because I was asked to be a judge and I'm happy to help. And yeah, I'm a piano player, clarinet player, know nothing about snare, but I have eyeballs. I know what a paradiddle is. I know rhythm, like at least I know what's going to happen and how to approach it. So like,
Exactly. This is another one of those things where you kind of have to like trust yourself a little bit. So like I remember like when I was a student, when I was in college, like imposter syndrome is a very real thing. And I experienced lots of it during my time in school. And so there's going to be a lot of those kinds of things that are going to kind of gnaw at you and be like, you're not good enough to do this, or you don't have the knowledge. And all I have to say is you got to just ignore it and keep going. Because if you let those things get the better of you, you're potentially missing out on some really cool opportunities that could benefit you in the future. So I've never regretted a time where I ignored how I was feeling and just said, I'm just going to fake it and just try to be confident and just try to do my best. 90% of the time, I've never regretted it when I did that. And I think it's only gotten me to where I am today in a job that I really love. So it's difficult. What we're talking about is not something that's super easy, especially when you're given these opportunities where there's really important people to you that you're trying to impress. But it's really important to just try to put yourself out there and do the best you can, because those opportunities, they come and go. Life comes at you fast and it goes by even faster. So you just got to go for it.
oh yeah, even in my current jobs status, three of those, three of those are all based off of connections. Like, oh, I know somebody who plays piano, or oh, they taught this class. They had this degree. They're gonna teach, or oh yeah, they have openings in their piano studio. Like they're all like I got those jobs because of the connections that I built up. Incredible.
Yeah, so it's just going to make things better for you. And even like, so I moved to an area that I'm not from for the job that I have now. So I basically went from having a lot of connections to kind of having none all at the same time. Obviously, the connections I made when I was at college helped me get the job, but now that I'm here, it's kind of a different playing field because I don't really know anybody, or at least I didn't when I first arrived. But now I feel like I've got a good group of people that I can easily say, this person would be a really good reference in the future, or do a really good job explaining how I am in the classroom, or saying, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So that's kind of something that's going to follow you no matter where you go. If you're like a music teacher, I'm assuming to a certain extent you might have to move around a little bit to kind of find those jobs. Because unfortunately, when you're in a specialized field like music, there's not like tons of those jobs in every single county or every single district. So you might have to kind of start from ground zero every once in a while. But if you start building that skill, because you kind of have to build it like it's a muscle, like you kind of have to keep going and keep going. But once it's a muscle, once it's built, it's gonna come really naturally, and it's gonna follow you wherever you go. So
Yeah, and part of it is also being part of an organization is also how you build connections and find those people and attend workshops or conferences. And I think it's also really important to, I mean, like you literally just said, like get yourself out there, but also be very involved. Be involved. I mean, don't stress yourself out. Don't sign up for everything, but like get yourself out there, be
yeah, we can talk
involved.
more about that in a minute. But yeah, you gotta kind of find things that are in line with what you want to do and where you want to be, and just do those things. I know that, like, in the elementary side of things, there's lots of like summer classes that you can take. You can get like certified in orchestral work and Kodai, and I think there's like Kentucky chapters of some of these things that you can attend, and other places. So there's lots of like organizations and things out there that are available for you to not only get PD hours, which if you're gunning to be a teacher, you know how to get, you got to get those pesky professional development hours. I'm just kidding. Hopefully you're in a place where you get to choose most of your professional development and it's not sitting in like a math science seminar that you have nothing to do with. Although that happens way too often.
It does?
Well, I mean, I don't want to like speak for everybody. But occasionally you're in a faculty meeting. And this is not me talking about my own experience, but sometimes I see things like on social media, like memes about when you're in a math BED and you're the band director. And it's just like, oh my gosh. But luckily, I'm in a place where most of the professional development that I get to choose, and it applies to kind of what I want to do. We have a really great cooperative where I live that does lots of arts, like PLC things. So I'm able to get some like arts instruction and performance and stuff that I get to actually apply to my classroom. That's been very helpful. So you got to just kind of find those things and latch onto them.
Yeah, and on the van side of things, the big one out there that I know you can get PD hours is the Midwest Clinic. That's huge. It's basically, I mean, most band people know about it, but if you don't, think of it like it's your state conference on steroids. There are huge names that show up to this event, and they always invite big bands and like Texas middle school bands that come. First of all, Texas,
Ugh,
they start.
Texas is so crazy for music ed. Oh my God.
I attended this subtle Asian conductor or subtle Asian band directors dinner, big
Mhm.
hurrah on Asians. And I met this Texas director, and he was like, "Yeah, we start band in the third grade." And I was
Whoa.
like, "What?" No wonder
I
y'all are
would
so
honestly,
good.
I would love to be able to start band like for my like fifth grade, and we're not even there yet.
Yeah,
So that's
so
pretty crazy.
it's definitely different state by state for sure. But like just talking to them about it, and he's in a big state like Texas, and he was mentioning how, oh yeah, like we only have three directors and that's not even enough, like we need five directors. Like there's teacher shortages everywhere. Even the guys at California, they were like, oh yeah, like even though we have a high cost of living, but our it's not paying enough
Mm.
because they only have one director in a classroom, and it's not enough. And it's just it's there's you're gonna see some common things even across the country. So
Yeah, that's kind of the sad part of things, is like sometimes the job is just not paying like it should, or you don't have the support that you should have. I follow a teacher on TikTok. He's an elementary music teacher, and I think he's in Texas. I think he's in San Antonio. I could be wrong about that, but I know he's in Texas. And he has this like elementary orff ensemble, and they're insane. Like all of their music's completely memorized, and they play all these pop songs. They like play for football games, like NFL football games and
wow.
the NBA. It's crazy. And so I just see those and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like the bar is so high.
Yeah.
And there's like tons of kids in the ensemble as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got all of their Orff instruments on little carts that they can cart around. I'm not
Aw.
jealous at all. No, actually, it is really cool to see like how successful it can be. Um, Sometimes you got to be careful with social media because I feel like sometimes if I'm not like having a good day and I'm on social media and I see these really awesome like elementary music programs, I'm like, why can't I have that? You know?
Yeah.
But it's just it's part of the game and it just depends on where you are and your student population. And even like at the state conference sometimes we I watched a performance once and it was an elementary music program and they were so good and the kids were really well behaved and the music was really cool and there was like dance features and I was just like, "Oh my gosh." Like, I
And
feel
it
like
was
such a failure of a teacher by not having all these things. But then I have to like remind myself, it's like, I'm pretty new to the job. There's a lot that goes into those kinds of things. Like the parent support has got to be like through the roof and so you got to be careful with, comparing yourself and your program to other people because it can be kind of a negative thing. And it doesn't have to be. It can be a really positive thing. Like, wow, look at this person that's close by to my community that does really cool things.
Yeah, and if they're at the conference, go up to them, go talk to them, like, hi. I mean, I did
Yeah.
that at Midwest. I found out this uh Craig Kirchhoff is my teacher's grand teacher, and
Oh,
there's a whole, oh my God, I could go
you
into
guys
it.
are so crazy with your like
Lineage thing. Oh
the
my God.
lineage of teachers, woodwind players. I swear to God. I remember what most of my roommates throughout college were flute players
Oh
that
my
are near and
God.
dear to our hearts. If
Oh.
you're listening, shout out. Um, and one time we had this conversation about all this is kind of a side tangent, but and they would just talk about like the lineage of their teachers. Like our professor's teacher was this teacher, and their teacher was this teacher. And I'm like, I think I know one guy.
Um,
And that might be it.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like my piano instructor, teachers, and so forth, was Brahms.
Oh my God.
Literally.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, so like it's kind of crazy that we see that lineage. And even in the like wind band conductor world, like there's a whole lineage. And I went
Oh,
up
I'm
to this
sure.
guide, I was like, "Hey, I know this is really weird because you don't know me, but I've been told I'm your great grand student. Can I take a picture with you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, of course." And it was just like an aha moment, I guess.
You have more confidence than me because I don't think I could ever go up to somebody and be like, "Did you know that my teacher's teacher's teacher was you?"
I mean,
I love
he's
that for you.
yeah. I mean, I was nervous as heck, but it happened.
It's one of
So,
those moments you gotta do it.
yeah. And I think like putting those big names in your resumes, like who your teachers were, I think is also important.
Or that's just like there is this trombonist. I don't want to like I think we're trying hard not to really like say names too much. So I'm not gonna say her name, but she's a trombonist in Germany. Um, and she came down and gave a performance at a local university. It was not the university I went to, but it was just up the road. And I took this like really stupid picture in the like set area
Oh
because
yeah,
it was a really avant-garde like performance. It was super cool. Again, I don't want to give too many details because I don't want to give like information away of people we don't have permission to do that. But basically, she gave this really cool performance that had these like set pieces on it, and I took this like silly picture and that made a connection with her that I was not expecting. So like I saw her there and then I think later that year I saw her at the International Trombone association conference. I literally think it was that summer, actually. So, like, just a few months later, and she happened to be there again, and she remembered who I was. She was like, "Oh, yeah, you were so and so." And so, even though I'm not like a performance person, that's still like some of those things are just really neat, like experiences. And if I wasn't a silly 18-year-old um, who took that picture, I would have never made that connection with her. So you never know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen. You know, a lot of musicians, we're all just in the same club, really, anyways.
Yeah. And if you're wanting to get into or be part of or starting a connection, there's plenty of organizations online nowadays that you can get in for free or at least have a mentorship for free. I
College
mean,
students, you need to join CNAFME. Even if your college doesn't have a local chapter, having that membership goes a long way. It gets you a kind of for free in a lot of different like things. Like I know at our local like state conference, if you're a CNAFME member, your registration is free.
yep.
And I think it might have changed. Gosh, I'm aging us so badly. I'm like, it might have aged in a couple of years. But I'm pretty sure it
Yes,
was no more than like $55 or something like that.
it's up to
Um,
65, but like it's affordable.
uh, love inflation, but yeah, that's less than 100. And honestly, to get into a lot of these things, you're having to shell out some big bucks. So it's worth it to at least have that in
Yeah.
your arsenal, because then if you want to attend some of these things, you might not have to pay, or it'll be at a reduced price. So
And
it's worth it.
there's plenty of scholarships and grants online. Like I know as a person of color, there's a grant, I think by CBDNA, College Band Directors National Association, where they prioritize giving people of color a grant or scholarship or like a small sum of money to attend conducting workshops. And I think that's the coolest thing ever. So
That is really cool.
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff out there, and honestly, like I know because we're in a me and Rena are both in the same like fraternity. And I know that like through that I've heard like lots of organizations want to give out grants to stuff, but not everybody applies for them, and then that's money that's not utilized. So it's like really worth it to try and search for some of these things to see if somebody or there's something out there that'll give you some money.
Yeah.
So the worst that can happen if you apply to a grant is that they say no for whatever reason.
I
So you might as well
literally,
try.
yeah, I literally applied for this. It was called the Professional Development Grant by our music fraternity. I was like, heck, why not? I'm just gonna apply. They email me like 3 weeks later being like, congratulations, you got the money. And I said, what?
I got a
That
scholarship
was
from them
quick.
too.
Yeah.
So
So they're very, if you get it, they're very generous.
yeah,
So
so I guess also if you're in college, even though you have a lot on your plate, and I empathize with that deeply, because it's only been a couple of years, guys. I'm not that old yet, okay? But hmm. But when I was in school, like joining organizations was so important, like in ways that I actually didn't fully realize until I'm like where I'm at now, where I'm like, wow, I feel like if I didn't do the organizations that I did, maybe I wouldn't have developed these skills that have helped me on the job.
yeah, and there's a lot of leadership opportunities you can get being part of a student organization in general. So, like, get out there. And you learn a lot just by being a treasurer, a vice president, a president, or secretary, or whatever. Like, you learn a lot being in that position.
Yeah, I'm sure whoever you are out there, there's some organization that's gonna fit exactly what you're looking for. I'm not gonna tell you the exact ones that I think you should do because I think that's just a personal preference and depends on sometimes your financial situation and that kind of thing. But I think it's worth it if there's one at your local university that's in something you like. Go to a meeting, find out what it's all about, because that stuff is only going to just carry into things later in life. All of the like leadership roles and stuff that I had in my student organizations, I truly believe have directly impacted my ability to do my job now.
Facts, yes. I mean, I held a few leadership positions in undergrad, and I feel more confident talking to people. I feel more confident delegating. And like I said, you just gain those skills that will eventually tag along in your future.
For sure, for sure. And the thing, and I know what you're thinking. I feel it from here, okay? You're like, yeah, but I'm just already so busy. And listen, I hear you. I do hear you loud and clear. There are some times when you're a college student where you're like, oh my God, how am I gonna make it through this week? There's so much going on. But I promise, like, all of that's gonna be worth it by the time you're like our age. I hate saying that. We have to stop talking about how old we are. It's like gonna make me, I don't know what it's gonna make me do, but I just whatever. But yeah, but once you're like out and you're graduated and you're out in the field, you're gonna be really thankful that you again exercise that muscle of being able to be a leader and organizing things and working as a team. Because believe it or not, even most places you're the only music person there, but you're still gonna have to work in a team of some sort. So you got to develop those skills from somewhere. And until you can make it into a classroom, which for most of us wasn't until junior or senior year, you got to find ways to start doing that now so you can build that bridge between those things.
Yeah, and just a final note on the other side of things, even if you're going to work with people you like and you're going to also work with people you don't like, and that's the reality of life, right? I just want to say you will also learn what not to do when you're part
Oh,
of a team.
100%.
So think of like consider that as well. Even
I
if
know
there's
that is something we do need to consider is like, so when you do a lot of these things, like if you're going to push yourself to do, you got to kind of also be prepared to not make the best decision every single time. You don't bank every shot you take, okay? So like there's going to be some conflict. Hopefully it's not too severe, but you're going to run into some issues. You're going to run into people who don't work well together, and that's going to cause some issues. There's going to be some life problems that are going to come up if you choose, to go down this path of being in an organization and even taking on any leadership role. I think there's a chance that, you know, things are going to go wrong. But what you gain from those situations, and I feel like I've said this like a million times, but it's so worth it. It really sucks at the time, and especially where you're so young and you're kind of trying to experience being an adult human being, and then you're also like, where did all this drama come from? This is not what I signed up for. And to be honest, in the moment, it is gonna suck. But when you come out of that, you're gonna learn a lot. And you're gonna be able to see that situation next time and say, I know how to handle this. So you're just gonna have to put yourself out there.
yeah,
It's
and
gonna be a
then
little uncomfy, but you
yeah.
got it.
But in general, if you as long as you're being professional about it and respectful of the situation and mature about the situation, it's all gonna be fine. Because again, it's gonna happen. Wherever you go, there's gonna be conflict. There's gonna be people you don't like. There's gonna be people you don't want to work with. But that's just life.
And honestly, I think learning to work with people that you don't like very much or that you don't work well with, like that's some of the best stuff you can have. And that sounds awful, and it's not like it's gonna be everybody, right? Like there's gonna be good times, and then there's gonna be times where you're like, oh, I really wish that this wasn't happening, right? Or I really wish that so and so would not do this, or whatever it is, right? But learning to work with people that either you don't jive with or other people don't jive with, like that's only gonna just benefit you in the future. Cause you no matter where you go, there's gonna be people that you don't like, and that's just life, baby. You just gotta take it and go with it.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our next thing. I feel like as woman in society, it is very hard to dress for things nowadays. Because there's, first of all,
Mm.
so many categories, right? There's casual, uh, what is it? Formal, casual, formal, super formal, black tie,
Business
business
casual,
casual, yeah.
whatever that means.
And fashion is constantly evolving and things are becoming more and more comfortable. Thank you. Thank you, world. Like they
Yes, thank
are
you.
like stretchy yoga pant like fabric that look like dress pants. Now, is that considered professional? I don't know. So let's just talk about that, Mallory. I know for work or wherever I go that I need to dress up for, I always wear modestly. That's a baseline that I have personally for my rule book. I'm like, I'm gonna be professional. I'm gonna try to uh be confident in myself, but at the same time, just modest clothes. What do you think?
I definitely think that like, and here's the thing, right? Is like we're always going to wish that like things were a little bit better in society so that like some of the things that are really not unprofessional like would be more professional, and therefore that's where you would be, right? But especially in situations where like if you're going into a job interview or you're going to be working with somebody who potentially like again might be somebody you want to impress or somebody you want to build a connection with, you got to be mindful of kind of what they would think is professional. um so I would say for sure like I would stay within the typical guidelines of like a business casual situation. Like I think when I was interviewing for jobs, I definitely dressed up more than I actually do in the classroom today. But that's just because you don't want to be caught in a situation where they don't think you're dressing professionally. So you just got to be prepared for that. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I feel like if you wear a nice pair of jeans and a nice shirt, that's professional looking to me. But to some people, and not that we really have to get into it, I do think there are people in some older generations who view things a lot differently than we do, in Gen Z. So it's just a matter of, are you going to take the hard stance of, I'm going to dress the way I want to dress, or am I going to just try to get a job? And that's really hard sometimes. I feel like, especially for women, because and on social media, I feel like every other week I see like somebody taking a picture of a teacher and being like, I can't believe she's wearing this in school. And I'm like, what? Just some form-fitting pants? Like, what are we mad about?
Yeah, I totally understand that. Like when I was on the podium during my master's in wind conducting, I dressed up every day because I wanted to make an impression to the people, to the ensemble, being like, I am the leader and I am confident. And there's a reason why I did that because A, I'm short. B, I'm a woman. I'm a person of color. And I dressed up on purpose. Not dressed up. It was more like, I want to say business casual, business formal, a little bit every day.
I would say you dress pretty formal from like what I remember
Okay.
from like when you were on the podium. Like for context, I also in the school that I work in, we are allowed to kind of wear jeans kind of whenever we want. I think we still technically have like casual Fridays where you're like allowed to wear jeans, which I don't even want to touch that. How kind of crazy that is in my mind. So like I have days where I feel like I dress a little more formal, and then some days where maybe it's a little more casual. I would say what you were wearing, like when you were a graduate student, was more on the formal side. Like you tended to wear lots of slacks and like blousey type shirts and honestly most of the time a jacket too. So that was pretty formal in my opinion.
Yeah, and I did that on purpose because you don't want to see, I don't know, a conductor with t-shirts and shorts and thinking, "Oh my God, that's my leader." I didn't want to make that impression at all. I mean, we've had graduate students in the past that did that, but they were guys.
I
And they
also
also,
feel like it depends. Well, because like in that specific situation, you're an adult teaching other adults,
yes.
right? Um, and so that creates kind of a different dynamic, whereas you're trying to, I don't want to say impress, because that's not really what you're going for, but you were trying to be like, I am the leader of this group. Like I'm here for a job that we're here to do. I'm not sure that I'm conveying what I want to convey, but like you get where I'm going. Like whereas when you're teaching, I would say even high schoolers, like high school aged students, I struggle to think that a high schooler genuinely sees you as more of an authority figure if you're dressed business formal or if every once in a while you wear jeans and a t-shirt. Because I think to them you just look like an adult either way.
Yeah. And what sucks in middle school, I I overdress whenever I go to middle school because I'm literally the same height as these kids.
Mm.
So a lot of times, like it was concert day and I was wearing their t-shirt, and then this parent was like, "Hey, you should be on stage." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh no! They mistook you as a student?
Yeah, so like sometimes what you wear matters.
And so this gets into another subject that kind of grinds my gears about
Oh?
our profession a little bit, which is kind of the like, the thought that like passively that women are not going to be the ones that are in charge. Like, I feel like a long time ago, I saw a TikTok. I need to stop referencing TikTok. This is out of control.
What do you mean? TikTok is a great resource.
Look, it's got everything, okay? And my
Yeah.
TikTok is filled to the brim with music ed stuff. But I remember watching a TikTok about this guy who was talking about how people were treating his assistant director like she wasn't the assistant director. Like they were like, "Oh, are you like a parent of a student?" She's like, "No, I'm the assistant director. It says so on my jacket." So this gets into territory that really just like grinds my gears, where it's like women are just really not seen as people who can be leaders because we're seen as like kind of meek and you know I don't know. We're not going to solve the world's issues on this podcast, I'll tell you that much. But it's like this like professional attire thing kind of goes in with that, because it's like, so you're saying that I can't be a good educator if I don't wear slacks and a jacket every day? Seems kind of weird. Like, how does that relate to my experience and what I can do? And that applies to elementary, middle, or high school, really. Um, Obviously, like I feel like it kind of varies, especially with like the level of group you have, but in the eyes of a child, I don't think a child really cares, like, what you're wearing, as long as it's not, you know, too crazy.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're dressed like the rest of the teachers at the school, who cares?
And I feel like public school, so elementary, middle, high, you are moving a lot. So
Oh
I
my
feel,
god, yes.
right? So I feel like I think it's okay that y'all wear jeans.
I can't tell you the amount of times I'm sitting on the floor with the kindergartners. Like, I'm rolling around on the floor. Like, I'm doing so much, and obviously that's from an elementary perspective, but like, I can't wear a dress.
Yeah.
Like, that would be crazy. Like, I've got to be able to have a little bit of comfort here and flexibility because we're moving and we're grooving. And to be honest with you, even like middle and high school, you're conducting, man. You got to be able to flap those arms.
Mm-hmm. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
we can get into this later, but like being a pianist and conductor, finding clothes that is flexible
Oof. Yeah, that's got to suck,
is so
honestly,
hard.
in your position.
Yeah, and I got these swimmer shoulders, so like,
That's how I feel.
mm-mm-mm.
I'm like, these retired marching band shoulders cannot handle this.
Yeah, so we can get into that later.
I know that was a really long tangent, but this is stuff like about our like fields where I can't. And
Yeah.
the thing is that I know there are people out here who fully disagree and are like, well, you need to create an impact and you need to show this and you need to show that. And it's just like in 2024, a high school student does not care. A middle school student does not care. I guess if you're in the collegiate side of things, maybe it matters a little bit. But I also kind of feel like as long as you're taking care of yourself and you're professional, I feel like that comes way before like, oh, so and so like wore khakis to wind ensemble today. And you're like, okay. Like I feel like if you care that deeply about what somebody wears, that's crazy. We can't change the world, right? So unfortunately, there are going to be a lot of people out here who do care, like if you're dressed professionally or not. So you got to kind of pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let me knock the first impression out of the park and then I'll find out how I can dress, you know? It's tough though, and it's gonna vary depending on kind of what you're doing. Like, for example, I think I already said this, but I work in a school where I don't think we have like a lax dress code, but we definitely are not like you are not allowed to wear jeans. Like that's not the vibe, um, for sure. So it's just like it just kind of depends on where you're at, and I wish it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But it's the way it is, and unfortunately, also being women, people love to criticize our looks.
Oh
Oh no.
no!
12 seconds later.
So anyways, I could be on my soapbox about that for days.
I think
Maybe we'll come back to that at a later
if
time.
I think in general, if you're unsure, overdress.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're unsure, just overdress. You'll be safe.
Absolutely.
Well, Mallory, I threw you a surprise question last time. Do you have a surprise question for me?
Oh gosh, I don't do well with surprises, I'm gonna be honest with you. What is one thing you did this week that fulfilled you?
Ooh.
Is that literally the question you asked last time?
No,
Okay, good. I was like, wait, did I just rephrase the question?
no, I asked about your recent obsession. But
Oh, that's right.
so this week was the blah, 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 first day of classes for the college class I'm teaching, along with my coursework that I have to do. But we've been getting some heavy snow this week, so I got to stay home and
And
um
I got none of it.
I got to stay home. I'm so sorry. And get some work done. So I have this week I was able to do this is my 2024 calendar or planner.
That looks awesome.
Right? It's the recent Vera Bradley Hello Kitty collection. But anyway, I got most of my, or actually, I got my lecture work done and my homework done today. So, and that is like 4 hours of work right there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm looking to go to grad school hopefully in the future on top of being a teacher, and let me just say, I don't know if I'm ready for that mentally.
Oh my God. Well, I think you could do like summer classes, right?
I think so, but it kind of depends on what I'm gonna do.
Mm.
I still haven't fully fleshed that out yet. So we'll see how that goes. But that is really cool. I really like planning and having a planner. It keeps me motivated is not the right word. But it
Productive?
keeps me like there we go. Well, it like keeps me on track.
Yes.
And then I can like write what I want to do. Um Actually I got like a Japanese planner for Christmas. It was really expensive. It was like $60. Yeah, I know. It was kind of a lot. But what I like about it is it has these like empty daily pages so you can write stuff in it. So I like
Oh.
sometimes I journal in there. Sometimes I write to-do lists. Like I've been trying to write a to-do list for myself for work. Because I find if I don't do that, I get really overwhelmed when my planning period comes around and then I just don't do anything.
Mm.
Which honestly, to be fair, sometimes you gotta take a break. Sometimes you're having one of those days where you're like, this, however long you have for planning, needs to be a break. And I fully support you on that. I do not support myself doing that every day, though, when I have stuff to do. So I've been writing myself like a work to-do list and then like a life to-do list, like things
Mhm.
I have to do that day. And I will say it's been a game changer recently. Because now when I sit down at my planning period, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to do this, this, and this. And then I get it done. And then most of the time, I get like an extra 25 minutes of nothing.
Let's
It's so
go.
good. Love it. Highly recommend a planner, people.
Yes. What about you? Did you get anything fulfilled
What
this
has
week?
fulfilled me this week? Um, Honestly, it hasn't been too much of a week this week because it's been like cold, so there's really been nothing going on
Yeah.
recently. I will say I do like to prioritize my self alone time. Because number one, I'm an introvert, said it at the beginning. So honestly, and it's wild that I wanted this career. I understand. But like when I'm around children all day, we're hustling, we're bustling, we're moving. I get to the end of the day and I'm like, pump the brakes. Like we need to calm down. So I've been like doing some stuff to kind of like, you know, take care of the minds and the brain. So like I take what I like to call hot girl walks,
Yes.
which is actually a tradition that started, I guess, with my family, like when me and my brother were in like high school and middle school, where we would take like a family walk and we'd walk the dog every weekend. It's very wholesome, very sweet. And so I just do one by myself. And I found a trail near me, or actually it's like a arboretum, and it's got like walking trails. Unfortunately, it's been too cold to do that, but like I like to be in nature. It like really calms me down. And then to just be doing a task to kind of just like reset myself and to let go of like the things that have stressed me out over the week. Because I find if I don't do that, I spend my weekends like anxious about the week to come, and then I don't actually relax that much. So I've been like trying to use my hot girl walk as a tool to like meditate, get some steps in, and just to like reset myself for the week to come. I am kind of trying to incorporate doing something similar during the week, but unfortunately it's been too cold to be outside for too long. So I haven't figured that one out yet. But soon to come. So that is what has fulfilled me recently.
You should try stretching or yoga.
I have done yoga before, and actually I really love it because I don't know what it is. I get my back all just like jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do yoga and I'll do like one of those poses and then my back just like whoop. And I'm like, ugh, just what the doctor ordered. I don't know why I did that accent with that, but Um, getting a little silly goofy, but yeah. Maybe I will do yoga. I'll just substitute that for my hot
Yeah.
girl walk this week. Because it does help me, like, find my center. I don't want to be, like, too spiritual with it, but, like, I like the meditativeness
I mean,
of it all.
I do it 2 times a week just to like remember to breathe, remind myself to breathe, you know?
I feel like oh my gosh, Rena, I don't know how you do what you do, to be honest with you. You got a lot going on.
I know. I basically work 7 days a week and my breaks are from 10 to midnight.
Oh my gosh.
But
I could not.
like I said, she designed a life she loved.
Oh, look at that. Look at
So,
that. Well, I mean, as long as you like what you're doing, that's chill.
yeah.
And personally, that could not be me. I feel like after college, I was like, there's no way that I'm working like this forever. Obviously, like I work hard and I have my long days and my long weeks, but I'm not trying to get stuff done 7 days a week. So
Yeah.
good for you though.
I mean, we can talk about this in another episode, but it's all like time management and planning your days properly and being on top of it. So,
Good life skills for
yes.
sure.
Well, next time we're going to be at our state conference. Woo!
Woo. I don't know why I did that in a low voice. I'm not representing myself very well on this one.
It's okay. You had a work day, right? So,
Oh my gosh, that's true. We should try to do one of these episodes on a weekend and see if it changes me in any way.
oh my God, let's do it.
Then I'll be like, party. Music teachers off on the weekend. That would
Well,
be something.
we hope to find you at the state conference if you're going to be there. Say hi. We're
Yes,
gonna
please talk
be
to us.
Yes, we're gonna be stationed somewhere. Um, and we'll post it. We have an Instagram now. You
Yeah,
What's
go
our
follow the Instagram. It is at Tune in Life Podcast.
Yes. And we'll
We
post
have no posts right now, but that's gonna change shortly.
yes, and we're gonna make a YouTube channel and all that. But find us. Um, we're gonna interview you, we're gonna ask questions, and we're also gonna do video recordings, so it's gonna be a vlog, a podcast vlog. I'm so excited.
Plug does not sound appealing, but honestly, that is what it is, though. It's a
Yeah.
podcast vlog. So, yeah, come talk to us so we're not just like weird people with like recording equipment. To be honest with you, if you told me that in 2024 I was going to be doing street interviews, which is basically kind of what we're doing, I would not believe you.
We'll do street interviews.
It'll be kind of like a street interview, I guess.
Yes. Well, we'll
Kind
be
of.
we'll be stationed in one. We'll do street interviews. We'll do all that stuff. And we're gonna have stickers. So if you want a sticker,
Oh
come
my
by.
gosh, I forgot about the stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got to get the stickers.
They're-
I'm honestly maybe the most excited about the stickers, not gonna lie. The plug will be great, but also the stickers. Gotta get those stickers.
Yes. We'll tune in next time. And again, if you're at the state conference, come say hi.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning into Tune in Life, where every beat counts.